This week's clip is from a call I had yesterday with a business owner who was trying to understand what services he should offer. In the clip, I go over a few strategies on how to determine what services you should offer to your customers. Here's the clip.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something I think a lot of established businesses tend to struggle with as well. Really understanding what services you should offer your customer can be tough for a lot of business owners, mainly because most business owners are technicians. They get into business because they like doing what they're doing, rather than they get into business to start a business. When it comes to determining what services you should offer, the best foolproof way to do it is to have conversations with your customers and understand what their needs are, understand where their gaps, understand them as best as you can. Through those conversations, specifically focus on uncovering, what's included in their day-to-day and what aspect of their day-to-day are you best positioned to help improve, or what problems are they experiencing that you can help eliminate or make a little bit easier. To use an example, if you have a customer that wants to get to Tahiti and you're not sure if you can get them to Tahiti, maybe you're an Uber driver, right? You may feel that you're not really able to help them get there, but you can do the next best thing, which is get them to the airport, right? So when you're trying to determine what services you should sell to your customers, what services you should offer, ultimately have conversations with them, trying to understand what their business needs, understand what their vision for their business is, and how you can create an impact. And when you do that for enough customers by focusing in a specific area, what you'll begin to notice is there will be a pattern. There'll be a pattern of what consistently almost every customer comes to you for. And in many cases, it's not what you expect. In many cases, people go out and they look at starting a business and think that their customers are going to need one service from them. So they go, full tilt on that one service, not even asking the customers if they have that need, if they have that desire. They just assume, and they discover it's very challenging to get customers. Whereas in the other approach, if you just focus on having conversations, trying to understand, what your customers need, where there are opportunities, where there are gaps, what parts of their business can be optimized, and you solve those problems one by one, over time, you'll notice this pattern. And the pattern will show you, hey, every time you're dealing with a business owner that has between 3 and 5 employees, they have this one problem. And this one problem is what you're best at solving. And then you can decide to go, that is the only thing I'm going to offer. I'm going to become the expert in doing that one thing. Does that make sense? Makes sense. I understand. And honestly, you're not the first person to say that. I hear, at least 80% of the time I have these conversations, that's what I hear is, why should I niche down? Why should I, pick an area to focus on rather than solving every single problem my customers come to me for? Now, first thing I'll say is I have a YouTube video on this on why custom is hard. Doing custom one-off projects every single time, it's notoriously hard to scale a business. So I'll let you watch that. But on the other side, in terms of how and why you should niche down, when you niche down, you begin to become an expert in a specific area. And by becoming that expert, you're able to solve the problem on a much deeper level than anyone else can. The byproduct of doing that is you end up creating a whole lot more value than you do being a very generalist, right? A great example is if you look at, say, the pay scale of doctors. There's many different types of doctors, right? If you look at the pay scale of, say, a surgeon, which is, one of the highest paid types of doctors there are, on top of that, you have neurologists, you have urologists, you have all of these specialists that rather than just dealing with the whole body, they only deal with one area of the body. And the byproduct of that is they become an expert and they really understand how to solve problems within that very specified area, right? And because they're an expert, when they work with their customers, they're able to command premium rates. They're able to command high prices because the customer knows when I go to this expert, I'm not going to get a bunch of, general answers that I can spend a day or two on Google and discover for myself. I'm going to get very specific answers that are tailored to me, that apply the knowledge, apply the wisdom, and apply the experience to my specific problem, right? And this is this little kind of a nugget of wisdom is one of the reasons why customers almost every time will willingly pay to work with an expert if you can show them how you're focused on creating value for them. Does that make sense? I understand. And again, many people are like that. Many people have skills that they want to focus on. They're an expert in one area, and they go, hey, I really want to do this. Again, there's another video I'd recommend on my channel that you check out. It's about the difference between freelancers, consultants, and experts, and really the dynamic between focusing on skills versus focusing on solutions, and how it equates to whether you're creating a business or a job. So I recommend you check that out. But the main thing I want to make clear is if you want to create long-standing value for clients, if you want to create a very strong experience, if you want to have a minimal amount of friction when working with clients in terms of what services you offer, the best way to do it is not to give them what you want to do. Give them what they need, right? And one of the beautiful things with this approach is there's no ambiguity, there's no confusion, you're not trying to guess if things work. You just ask your customer, what do you need? Where are there gaps in your business? right? Now, in many cases, you have to kind of explore it. Very few customers are self-aware that they can give you an answer right away that fits that is useful and you can put into practice. But in many cases, after you do that due diligence, after you really do that discovery of uncovering what their needs are, you'll begin to see that there's really a problem that you are the best person to solve, right? And by focusing on that problem, becoming an expert in that problem, not only are you able to create a business where you're, making substantially more than you are if you're focusing on a skill, but you're able to create long-standing value for them to the extent that they'll keep coming back. And it almost creates this dynamic where you get first right of refusal on solving any of the problems that they have, where they will come back to you with some of the strangest problems that are unrelated to what you're doing, just saying, hey, do you know how to, like, this is what we're going through, is there a way you can help? And that's a byproduct of you being able to show them that you are the right person to solve their problems. Yeah, I completely understand. I went through the same thing when I was trying to decide where to focus my business. One thing my sales coach used to say to me was, when you sell to everyone, you sell to no one. And if you think about that, when you sell to everyone, you're really offering a very generic offering, right? Whereas when you're selling to someone very specific, you show that you know them, you understand them. Any challenges are going through, you're probably going to understand on a deeper level than a generalist will, right? So focusing down, it's one of the biggest changes you have to make in the early days. But once you make that change, you will drastically see a shift in not only the volume of business you get, but the quality of business, as well as a shift from lower prices to higher prices, because you're focused on solving specific problems and you're positioned as an expert.
Let me know in the comments below if you found that clip useful, as well as how did you first identify what services you should offer your customers. As always, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for new videos, which I release every Wednesday. If you're a business owner struggling to get your business to grow predictably, in the description below, you'll find a link for a complimentary one-on-one strategy session where we'll dive deep into what your business needs and put together a step-by-step plan to get you where you need to be.